Hello, hello, soulful seekers. Welcome back to Trauma and Transcendence. Today, I've got an exciting guest. I can't wait to be able to share her with you because she's so insightful. I first met her at Michigan Hypnosis Conference last year. She gave a genius presentation, and it just really opened up my view on some of the uses of hypnosis in things that I really know very little about. So without further ado, this is the lovely Tiffany Timmins. My dear, please introduce yourself and tell us all about the genius that you are.
That's so
You've got a lot
nice
to
of you to
share.
say. Thank you so much, Amanda. I am so glad to be here, and it was lovely meeting you at the conference. And I'm grateful that you would think that, I have enough to offer to be on your podcast. So thank you for having me.
More than enough.
Thank you. So my name is Tiffany Timmins, like she said, and I teach childbirth education classes, which are called HypnoBirthing classes. So I teach hypnosis for childbirth, and I am also certified as a birth doula, so I can support women during labor. I am also certified with the National Guild of Hypnotists as a consulting hypnotist as well. So I work with different types of individuals and different types of things that people are wanting to get rid of or add to their life. So I don't think everything is about letting go of stuff, but adding in. I want to get better at this. I want to let go of this so I can get better at this. So I work with a lot of mind reset, right? Like letting go of stuff so that people can get to that next best step in their lives. So where childbirth is concerned, I've been teaching hypnobirthing classes for 14 years approximately. My daughter was my hypnobirthing baby. And through that experience, I thought, why are women doing anything else? And even if you didn't have, all birth is different. All experiences are different. But if women can go into their birthing experiences with confidence and trust in their birth companion, their hospital, their provider, and at least know the questions to ask so that they know what they're getting themselves into, they can walk away with a better experience and less trauma. Okay.
Yeah. And that's a passion project over here, given the title of the podcast.
Exactly. So it just, in this birth world, there's so much trauma. And most women, they don't get set up with a therapist right after they have their baby. They should.
Yeah.
A lot of them, if they've gone through trauma of any sort during their childbirth, they should probably get help if they're struggling. And it's just not anything that is generally offered. It's just women have their babies, off you go, take them home. They get one visit at the doctor, and they're supposed to just be fine.
That's not something I had considered very much. Is PTSD associated with birth? Does that happen quite often?
Well, I think it absolutely can be, because you hear about women having, postpartum, and people say this, they say they're postpartum, like it's like postpartum is a bad thing. Postpartum's not a bad thing. Postpartum just means you had a baby. It's the period after having a baby. But postpartum depression, postpartum experiences like that, a lot of times can be related to that experience, that trauma that they experienced through maybe, anywhere from a 7-hour to a, 40-hour labor with strangers a lot of the time.
In your most vulnerable state possible.
In your most vulnerable state. Oh my gosh, ain't that the truth? You got all your bits and pieces out on display, and you got strangers coming in, and let me just check you real quick. I don't even know you. Like,
right? Yeah. No,
what are you talking about?
Buy me dinner.
No, and that's what I say is like, women protected this area their whole lives. It was called their privates. Nobody was allowed to, right? And then you go have a baby, forget it all. No. No, that's not how it should be.
I guess, I mean, that alone could be traumatizing, especially for people who've had previous trauma, to just have to go through that in such an open, unanticipated way. Yeah.
Right. And if you, I mean, think about, there's a lot of women who have had, you know, not to get too extreme, but even rape and like different things where they were taken advantage of, and that area was really not, cared for in the right way. And so when they're having babies, that is highlighted. That area, that experience can be coming back to them.
Right.
And so, yes, could be very traumatic.
Absolutely. So why do you think that so much trauma happens around birth? Is it the process itself? Is it lack of knowledge and education? Where could we do better?
For one, I think it's just starting with who's going to be there. Who's your provider? Who's your hospital? Get a doula. A doula, if for whoever's listening that's not sure, because a lot of times people think a midwife and a doula are the same thing. A midwife catches babies. A doula is a support person, generally a woman, could be a man, but it's usually a woman, who is kind of minding the gap between the professionals and the family, like giving them more support, helping them get more comfortable, get into better positions, those kinds of things, to allow their babies to be born with greater ease.
It sounds like fear. More of a knowledgeable advocate for you, for the mom.
100%. Yeah. Yep. So in terms of how to go about it, so starting at the beginning, getting all the right people in place, letting the people go that aren't working for you anymore. Like I always tell my families, hey, you hired them, you can fire them too, Just because that's where you started doesn't mean that's where you need to end up. And that's okay.
Do you think that's a challenge with people pleasing or is it just the way we interface with the medical industry that's so uncomfortable that we forget we have a voice, we have a say?
Yeah, it's that like white coat syndrome too. Like somehow they know better. Hey, they're professionals. They are lots of schooling. They know a lot about the body, how it works. But where the emotional connection comes into an experience like childbirth, not so sure that's always being considered with certain providers. Not all, never say all. I have fabulous providers that I'd say, go here, love this woman, love this doctor, for sure. But there's definitely a gap.
Mm. What's that saying? When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Right? I'll fix you.
Right, yeah. In the only way that I know how, and nothing else matters.
This way. It's black, it's white, right? Yeah. So I think that's a piece of it, is just fear going in, the white coat thing. How could I ask a question to this person who's the professional and knows better than me? You know what they don't know? Your body.
Yeah.
They do not know you. They're going to work with you for, I don't know, let's say 7 months. Not even you, but a pregnant woman, right?
That's not even fully 7 months. It's a couple of appointments that boils down.
That's what I mean. Like within
a couple of hours.
Sure. Right. And you're lucky in this area. You're lucky to get a half an hour of time at a prenatal appointment. And I'm being generous. Okay. I'm being generous. You go in, they do your blood pressure. They do, the stick test, pee in the cup, like do all these things, which are helpful, right? It is helpful to know those numbers, but it is like in and out.
And they're not really
it's pretty quick.
Getting to know you in those appointments. They're looking at the biometrics, the numbers, the procedures. They're not actually knowing you or your goals or your needs.
Right. So this is where choice of where a woman is going to birth, where the family is going to have that experience, becomes very important. Hey, some women are like, I'm going to the hospital. I'm 100% fine going to the hospital. Other people have so much past trauma related to a hospital, it's like the worst place. They never want to go there, right? So then there's other options where you could birth at a standalone birth center, or you could birth at home, or you could choose the best possible hospital for you, right? Do they have any like birth centers in your area?
I'm really not of that world.
Sure.
That's why I have you.
I was just curious. Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, but
So
maybe you could tell me more about your collective that you've put together and what is available so that people in the Michigan area, or if they're willing to work with you via distance, can
yeah,
have
for
some
sure.
ideas.
Yeah. So in this area, so you have like hospitals, and then you have a few standalone birth centers, which are run by generally midwives who are home birth midwives, essentially. They're trained just as well. They're trained just as well as a doctor, and they know just the right time. If something's not going well, they know to transfer. Okay. But most of these babies are born in these birth centers, which is fantastic because there's way less stress. There's way less strangers walking in and out because I'm going to keep mentioning that because I feel like the cervix is kind of like a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
She goes, right? The cervix is like, hey, I got you. And if anybody else comes in here, I'm going to shut this thing down so
That's
that
right.
this little baby's not coming out because it's dangerous. No way. Not, right? I mean, I don't know. This got in my head long ago, and I just feel like it is the thing. Like, and in the hospital, they're like, we're going to give you a little this, and we're going to give it a little this, and we're going to get that cervix open. We're going to put this bulb in there, and we're going to do all these things to force the body to do stuff it's not ready to do.
It kind of, for me, it likens to the metaphor of talking about how when the butterfly is coming out of the cocoon, it needs those initial moments of struggle. It needs to fight to flex the wings, to get the blood to flow. And I'm thinking, goodness, that's, just a butterfly, but can you imagine a baby? How many things need to happen? Maybe there are natural things, well, of course there are, but natural steps that need to happen to have a
100%.
better experience, to make a healthier, stronger.
100%. There is, when the baby is coming through, passing through the vagina, the baby is picking up all these, for lack of better words, good and bad bacteria to help seed their gut, to help them be healthier when they're born.
Wow.
Through that year of life,
And
the rest of their life.
We rush that whole moment. And right then we're building their immune system.
Right.
Jeez.
There's that. And there's also, hey, sometimes there's a need for a C-section, right?
Yeah.
I know the birth world isn't your world totally, but in this area, the average C-section rate is about 30%. 30%, which means some hospitals are doing it at like 20%, and some hospitals are doing it at like 40%. Right? When this is a normal, natural function of the body. But when you go into a hospital setting, there's this more like snowball approach that happens to where, if things aren't happening quick enough, or depending where mom shows up, is it early labor? Should she be checked in? There's all these considerations, which is a good thing. And then it's the procedures start. Well, you've been here this long. We could give you a little of this. We could break your water. We could give you some Pitocin. We could all these things start happening, which increases what? Fear, right? So fear's
stress,
going up.
Yeah, fear.
But right, stress, tension, fear. That formula is the formula to slow birth down. So if mom is in fear, her cervix isn't opening, they're giving her all these drugs and things and trying to force the body to open.
And it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's protecting that baby.
Oh,
there's
right?
fear. It's not time for a baby.
What? I was thinking about this. I say this in my classes. I'm like, think about like a woman in the like cave woman days, and she's in her cave. You're nodding. You heard me say this probably before, but and she's in the cave and she's in labor and things are going really well. And then outside the cave, she notices there's like wolves out there. Wolves outside the cage. Do you think she just keeps on relaxing and birthing that baby? Or think of any other mammal on the planet. What do they do when they notice people are watching them?
Hide, run,
Yep.
fight.
Fight or flight. And they stop it. They move to somewhere safer. Well, oddly enough, we're mammals. So if we just want to look at every other mammal on the planet and go, oh wow, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's what happens to me when I'm afraid. I don't want to be around people. I want to move. I want to fight. I want to flight. And so in a labor setting, you're in a room, 4 walls, mostly, and there's not a whole lot of room to run. And so the last one would be freeze.
Or fawn. Which I
Fawn,
think is
sure.
worse, because then you're being people pleasing, and that's the last thing you want to do. So
Right.
then there's like shame of, why did I say that was okay? I didn't feel okay.
The feeling walking away. That's what I'm talking about. So you walk away going, I can't believe I did that. But you have other people and their opinions coming at you. And even though, you thought you had it all together, it is a whirlwind in there, So it's break the water. And then if things aren't moving along, Pitocin, things aren't moving along, and Pitocin is a monster. And if a woman can go through birth on Pitocin without having an epidural, like, more power to her. But next it's an epidural, because the Pitocin is so wild and strong and painful that she can't take it at some point. And it's like, give me the epidural. Then she's got the epidural, and hopefully she can be calm enough and the Pitocin works and the baby can come out. But otherwise, C-section. That's how it goes.
The thing that you said in your presentation that really just blew my mind was how the fear, the stress, is actually what creates the pain, and that birthing by hypnosis can be painless. And that just, the moment that clicked, I was like, oh my God, we're doing this so wrong.
Well, and I mean, for years and years and years, I mean, this has been the belief forever, for as long as most people can remember, unless they're people who've had an experience, or who probably, like, people who run farms and things can, like, go like, what this cow just have that baby, and, like, didn't look like it was hurting at all. What, like, you can watch videos on YouTube of, like, deer having their babies, and the deer is just watching as the babies are coming out. I'm like, that's amazing. And that's what we should be able to do.
Yeah, they kind of look down. They're like, oh, what's this?
Oh,
okay.
I guess I'll start licking it and, cleaning it up. Here's my babies.
Yeah.
But no, we're in this terrified population of women who are so afraid of birth that they would sign up for an epidural. Sign up, say, I'm getting the epidural.
Or even a C-section. Just right off the cuff of, this is what I'd like to do.
Yep, yeah. Because they're more afraid of pain. Mm-hmm. And we've all felt pain in our lives, but birth is presented as it's going to be the worst pain of your life. It's going to be the worst thing you've ever done,
Maybe this is a myth, and I don't know, I'd love if you can confirm this, but I had heard, so I've never birthed any children, lovingly raised my partners, that was good enough for me.
Right?
No, I just have a lot of dogs, crazy dog lady.
Yeah.
So I've never had that experience, but I heard that sometimes birth, when done well, can lead to a 30-minute orgasm post-birth.
Sure.
True or false?
There is a documentary called Orgasmic Birth.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's about that.
Oh, there you have it.
And there's some of the there's one hypnobirthing video that one of the first group of videos that we had, and it actually showed a woman like, woo, like, woo, like, and you're just like, what? And then Marie Mongan, who is the creator of the hypnobirthing program, goes like, I don't know, orgasmic birth, like something like that, like, because she expressed such a positive feelings.
Yeah.
And people look at birth as not being a sexual thing, which it's the result of a sexual thing. It doesn't make it weird, but it's just, societal things.
Well,
And
what a contrast from a situation that's so fearful and painful to the extreme opposite. And it's like, well, if one can be true, why can't it be true for most births?
belief.
Yeah.
Belief is huge, right? So my first class is all about understanding how this birth process actually works and working on the idea that you could actually change your beliefs.
Yeah.
Like we're all brought into the world with, people are giving us beliefs of that they're theirs. That other people are giving us their stuff. I mean, that's just how we start, right? But at
Oh,
some point, the page turns and we get to say, do I want to keep that or not? Oh, this seems like a better idea. I think I'd rather do this, right?
I've never been pregnant, but from what I've seen, what happens is the moment people know you're pregnant, they want to share their birth stories, for better, for worse. So then we have the distribution of beliefs.
I love that you say that so much because, oh, I wish I had one here. Maybe I had them at the conference, but I give out these pins, like little buttons for moms to wear, and they say, "Happy birth stories only, please. My baby is listening."
Aw. Yeah, I love that.
Right? Because, well, how are you gonna give all these fearful, scary stories to a mom who's carrying a baby right now? It's just gonna scare her more and start releasing, hormones that are going to create, release catecholamines that are the stressors that cause pain, all that stuff, because she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to my birth now, freaking out.
Yeah.
No.
And then all of those stories are circulating in her head. Yeah.
Right. So the hypnosis portion, right, in the class I teach is huge about release, letting go of that stuff that's not yours, it never was. You don't need to own it, keep it, let it go. Especially birth stories.
Yeah. It's almost better if they never even begin that process.
Right. So I say, do you not even know? Because I had, so my daughter, my second, was born at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so people in my family, they would just wanted to tell me the scariest things. And so, well, let me tell you. And I'd say, you know what? How about you wait till after my baby's born and then I'll hear your story. And because I was like, it's you or me. Either I'm going to, you'll get over it. But me, if I take all that in, right? If I take all this in, I'm planning this beautiful birth. And if I start taking in the things that I know aren't going to help me, that's going to hijack my whole plan.
And even if you're not consciously thinking of those things, your body still heard it. Your body's still reacting. It's
right?
Still in the subconscious.
Exactly. So that's why a huge part of the program that I work with is about, getting really relaxed and deeply into the subconscious and imagining it in a different way. Right? Because what we imagine becomes our reality, right? We know this, right? And so to start releasing those things and then to see this thing sort of happen with parents where they start believing, they start going, yeah, this is the experience I want to have, not that. But you also have TV, you have the movies, you have all of that. It is the worst impression of birth ever. And it's all that's out there, unless you're watching, find the right things. Watch some hypnobirths on YouTube. Watch, some more calmer experiences, some animal ones, which is kind of funny to think about, but I always go back to that. We're mammals.
At the end of the day, we're not separate from nature. We are.
Right? And so it's about clearing out all this noise that wasn't yours to begin with.
And so you're a doula, you're present for the process, and you're a hypnotist. But I'm imagining that if someone is just a hypnobirthing person, they're not a doula, that they would not be present for the birth?
That's true. I mean, there can be both. So there's a lot of trained hypnobirthing practitioners who aren't, a trained hypnotist or consulting hypnotist, but they've done enough in that hypnobirthing training to have enough to be able to work with their clients or be the doula. They're not, they're not midwives. Some of them could be, but I think I know a few in this area that are one for sure that is a midwife and works in a practice actually, who took the training for hypnobirthing. And I was like, tell all your friends.
That's ideal.
Tell
That's
them all.
ideal.
They should all do it,
Yeah.
So it just depends who they're aligning themselves with, right?
I mean, at the end of the day, it only makes their own job easier as the midwife.
Oh, listen to this one. 100%, right? So, yeah, I think a lot of midwives, doctors probably appreciate the calm, the relaxed moms that they get to work with. And even, let me say, this is hilarious, that sometimes my moms go into the hospital and they're not believed that they're in labor because they're so calm and relaxed. The professionals don't believe that they could possibly be in labor. And they're like, you need to get me into room now.
Medical gaslighting at its finest.
Oh, right. And it's like, you get it because they usually see, probably 90%, 85% of the population that come in are totally freaking out and screaming and yelling. And these moms are like, yeah, I'm here to have my baby. Okay, guess we'll check you and prove that you're actually that far along, Yeah, I was a doula for a mom one time, and I assisted her at home, and then she was going to go to the hospital, and another doula was going to assist her there. By the time she got to the hospital, and this was during COVID, so she had to get COVID tested before she could check into the hospital. By the time she got into the hospital and into her room, and the other doula was able to get in the room, the baby was born in 15 minutes. And the mom was at like a 10 as soon as they checked her, which is, 10 is 10 centimeters is when a baby's going to be born. So the relaxation, that confidence, it is everything.
So if someone's pregnant and they're interested in exploring this, how far ahead of the birth do they need to start this journey?
So anytime after the first trimester. So you want to make sure that, baby's doing well, and then it gives them plenty of time to practice all the things that they learn. There's an audio download that goes with the program so that they can listen to it like every night as they fall asleep, and they really start establishing that routine and really start changing their automatic behaviors, right? Because we all have them. And so this is a good way for them to start building confidence and trusting in their bodies and their babies. Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine the babies born with hypnobirthing are an entirely different creature than the ones who've come through fight, flight, and all of the human cocktail of chemicals that happen
oh my gosh,
through the regular process of birth with the medical system.
It's so lovely for you to say that, because it's so true. And hypnobirthing babies they're calmer. They eat better. They sleep better, right? It speaks volumes.
Oh yeah. I know when something rocks my nervous system, it's hard to do these days, but when it does, that's a huge coming down period and getting that rebalanced again. It takes a lot of vagal toning. It takes a lot of security, safety. Yeah. And so here we have these tiny little beings that are brand new. They don't know anything else. They don't know how to calm their nervous system. They don't know how to let go of the tension in the muscles. And
right.
Yeah, so I would imagine that they would sleep better, that they would do everything better because they feel safer.
100%. And safety is key. Like I said, with mom, with baby. So we go through I have parents tell me, how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel through the rest of your pregnancy? How do you want to feel going through your labor? How do you want to feel? Like, not what do you want, but how do you want to feel? And that's a different question than what do you want?
Yeah. So here's where my realm comes in. It's very different from yours. I do a lot of past life regression. I do a trauma release work. Okay. And things in the third trimester affect my clients, whether they consciously remember it or not. And at some point, I think I had one just a couple of days ago where we released a whole bunch of pre-birth memories and then actual birth memory. And it's still
Interesting.
affecting this person. And now they're in their 40s. They're in their 40s, releasing the trauma from their birth and from the third trimester because mom had fear. There were loud noises. There were
Yeah.
unsettling things.
Yeah. I mean, you imagine, I ask my families this, I say, can you imagine being born? I mean, seriously, I know you did it. I mean, we were all here, so apparently we were born, but can you imagine going through that experience? Can you imagine coming through that little space, coming out here, and what are you coming out into? Are you coming out
Cold,
into a loving space? Exactly. Is it cold? Is there loud
loud.
voices? Is there, right? What is it like? So it's your job to create that environment. Soft noises, soft lighting, loving, consideration. Like that's part of their job too. That's dad's job, a big one of his, right? Supporting mom and creating that environment. Because she can't do that. She's having a baby.
And what could be worse than that clinical medical smell? Can't stand it.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't smell like a natural place to be
No,
born.
and that's why when I say, like, you could have your baby at home. And I say this to my clients all the time too. How you got in this mess is how you're going to get out. So, right? So you just got to like wrap your arms around it and set everything up the way you'd like it to be and not the way you feel most comfortable, and get rid of the things that don't make you feel that way, you know? So, but it's really interesting what you were saying. And I remember seeing a woman in one of the videos I used to show, and she would talk about that some of the people in her practice would talk about the earliest times of remembering when they were even preconception, having a memory at the earliest point of conception, right? So that's, like what you're talking about, where most people are like, that's crazy. But when
Yeah.
something keeps showing up, you go, huh, maybe not.
Sometimes their fears, their phobias are from those moments. I do a lot of between lives soul regression, and there are those moments of when the soul is then coming into the body. Now, for most, the soul enters the baby before it leaves mom. So they have that muscle memory of the claustrophobia, the warmth, the pressure, all of those things.
Okay.
For some, if it was really an inhospitable experience, the soul will actually wait until the baby is out of mom. Not as common, still does happen, especially if mom was not a warm, comforting, safe place
That is really
emotionally.
interesting because I talk about, sometimes there are pregnancies that weren't wanted.
Yeah.
And so these little beings are coming into this world from a different place, right? And so, right, and it's sad to think about, but so however they're going to come in, they need to be considered and cared for, and that environment needs to be is super important.
And they really do. Everything that mom is feeling, even things that dad is feeling, they can pick up on in the womb. And it sits with them.
100%. We talk about that, right? And they respond to external noises, and they rear back, they curl up, they something,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
they react to external noises and influence, right? So
That's what it was. My client
mhm,
the other day was saying that every morning when he wakes up, he's compressed, he's tight, and he's tucked
mhm,
in.
mhm,
And when we went through his between lives process, we were looking at his birth. There was a moment when it was loud around him. There was just yelling and
yeah,
discomfort, and that's what
yeah,
he did. He clinched and he tucked in, and I said, huh, I wonder if tomorrow when you wake up in the morning, if you would just expand,
yeah,
what that would do. And so we played with it in session, a little bit of somatic expand.
yeah.
And he was able to break through some of that fear.
It's neat. I mean,
So, yeah.
it's just speaks volumes, So we do a lot of, imagining and like be the baby, like be
Mm.
the baby. What are you experiencing? What kind of smells? Not that they're smelling, but like what's around you? What are you hearing? what are all the things that are happening, So, are you going to live with nice people? Are you going to, what kind of place are you going to grow up in? Are you going to be in a loving family? Are you going to, like, all these things? And it kind of is a great reflection for the parents to go, oh, so I'm not just having a baby.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times it gets so, like, simple, like, I'm having a baby, you're gonna love the baby, and but it's really this person that they're gonna be able to, bring into their lives, and who's this person gonna be, and it's just a different way to think about things.
Do we kind of hyper focus on the whole birth part and then we lose track of everything that comes after?
Totally. So in
Oh,
my realm of, because I work with I know a lot of doulas and childbirth educators and yoga practitioners and, everything birth related. And a lot of these women do, and maybe not instead of, but sometimes instead of, they do, like, what do they call them? Like a birth, like a pregnancy, where they surround the women, and they put, flowers on her, and they do, they'll draw on her belly with henna, and so it's instead of a shower, it is more of a, I don't even want to say support, because that's too, like,
well,
clinical,
it's
but
making it conscious. It's a conscious celebration
right,
of this new
yes,
life that's its own soul. Imagine that.
yes, yes, and it is the coolest thing. And I just love it, because we put so much energy into this shower. I feel like it'd be more helpful if it was after. Or, just lifting up mom, and, you know, give them what they need after the fact, because
Well,
we
yeah.
need all this stuff. It's just
Instead of those horrible birth stories that people have been through, what if
right,
instead it's, oh, imagining this beautiful future with all of these wonderful outcomes?
right,
We know how the
and
mind works and why that's
right.
important.
Right. And we know that all these people that come to the shower, they are really excited about this baby and this new chapter and everything. But, to kind of re-examine that and say, is this what's really beneficial? Because it's a lot to deal with that whole shower thing and everything. And how helpful is it afterward? You know? So, what's that word? What the heck's it called? I'll think of it. I'm trying to think of the name of what they call it when they do the whole thing with the mom. But
Well, I think it's just kind of ritual, but
it is. It totally is.
is it attached to any specific cultures that you
Um,
remember?
I'm not really. I don't know that it is, but I'll think of it. I'll let you know.
I know in the Hindu culture, they do
Mm-hmm.
actually go practice like puja and things like that. So when they find out a woman is pregnant, the family, the innermost family will go, they will pray, they will make offerings and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I think we lack that sometimes.
100%. We're so, like, you know, organized, and we do this and we do that, and um, I have, like, a book that is called The First 40 Days. I love that book because it talks about that first 40 days after a baby is born, and how we should be caring for mom.
Yeah.
Like, she just went through a heck of an experience, and her body has to heal, and it has to, like, get back in order. I mean, think about what the heck happens to a woman's body, right? She has to create all this space for a baby to grow, and then the baby grows, and, like, organs move out of the way, and, I mean, a placenta develops, an organ that didn't even exist until she got pregnant. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal in itself.
Is it actually considered an organ?
It is.
Wow.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. And so, some women will um, do placenta encapsulation. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but where they
Yeah.
dry out the placenta, and then they ingest the placenta, essentially. But
Some people are really brave and I guess take it.
yeah,
I
well,
don't know that I'm made of that.
yeah, you don't have to. You do not have to encapsulate it. No, you could just eat it. And there are some of the elders that I know that would say that eating a little piece of placenta could heal a lot of things in the body.
That makes sense.
ailments. And yeah, it's like pretty fascinating.
I had heard, and I don't know if I heard this in your presentation potentially, but the baby is constantly also healing mom. If mom has an injury, that baby will unconsciously send cells to repair whatever is happening.
Yeah.
And so, of course, all of that would still exist within the placenta. That makes perfect sense to me.
Right. So I don't think you heard it in my presentation, but yeah, it totally, yeah, I believe it because it's constantly going back and forth. And if you think about after the baby's born, that mom's breast milk changes to meet the baby's needs. So like if the baby gets sick or the mom, vice versa, like they help each other heal.
Yeah.
Or even after the baby's born, baby goes skin to skin on mom, if at all possible. Yeah. Why? Because being on mom helps baby regulate his or her own body temperature, metabolic rate, like all these things that were automatic, that were happening in the womb. So imagine, remember when babies were just in a nursery? Remember those pictures? Like those are real, like in the 50s there, right? Right? So, I mean, we've come a long way in some things, but we could still,
Yes and no. I mean, the caveman situation almost sounds better than what we created there for a minute.
I know. Right. So, hey, there's always something to do. There's always something to work with here for sure, right? Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, but it's pretty fascinating stuff.
It's wild. There are just so many things that we're primed for it. We do it naturally. And even when I look at dogs, I take my dogs to the vet. They're aware of the smells. They smell the fear.
Oh gosh.
And I wonder if that's why, babies, we need skin to skin, because they're mammals. They're smelling mom. They're smelling for the hormones to say, hey, what kind of environment are we in?
Yeah. And it's the way mom smells. So they say that the nipples smell like amniotic fluid, and that's how babies and mammals, like your dogs, would know where the point of nurture is. Yeah. That's how they know. So they talk about babies being able to attach on their own and learn how to breastfeed on their own given the time. But in a lot of hospital situations, it's so rushed, hurry up, and they have lactation consultants sometimes, but I don't think that they allocate enough time to really, because it takes a couple days to get that all going anyway. Not to go down that too much, but oh gosh.
All of the chemicals, what a disruption to the baby being able to smell what's actually important.
Listen to you. So right. So that's another piece. Yeah. So of course, every woman is not going to have 100%, no intervention birth. I'll say it like that. No intervention birth. That's what I want, is like no intervention this time, right? And it just, again, depends on provider. It depends on a lot of things. But if we can do it with as minimal interventions, reduce or eliminate drugs, then yes, the baby's going to get acquainted better, and baby's going to latch better, and mom's going to feel better, and all these things are going to happen when those things don't get in the way. Now, like I said, sometimes those things can be needed, but I think most of the time birth tends and wants to complete itself without interference, without interruption. It will. If I say this to my moms in class, listen, if you do nothing, you're going to go into labor. That's just how this thing works. It's how it works. At some point, have to force it. At some point, you're going to go into labor, okay? Because there's so much fear. Well, your baby's too big. Your baby's too small. Your amniotic's fluid's too low. It's too much. There's this idea that at some point something's going to go wrong.
I guess that's wild. Because as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about how women are so different. And so how are we going to have a standard for amniotic fluid when the bodies are so vastly different as it is?
Is an ultrasound always right?
No.
What? Yeah. So to measure how much amniotic fluid is in a uterus by ultrasound, and then decide whether or not a baby should be born via C-section or not,
I didn't know that was the indicator. Okay.
Oh, it's
Wow.
one. It's one that is used
Yep.
to say, well, your amniotic fluid's low, so, might need to induce. I go, well, don't we want to keep it in there then? If it's low? No.
Incubate
So
a little longer.
there's a lot of, there's a lot of things like that where, and it's a slippery slope sometimes in terms of, because again, you don't know who the doctor is, you don't know who the midwife is, you don't know the practice, you don't know. So I would never be like, never do this, always do that. But what I always will say is consider the benefits and the risks to everything that is being offered to you. Right? There's an acronym that they use in the birth world. So considering your risks, the benefits, the alternatives, and like, what if we did nothing? So use your brains. Brains is the acronym. Use your brains. Right? Risk, benefits, your alternatives, right? And what if we do nothing? Because a lot of times they get an offer like, well, we could give you a little of this. Well, you've been here a long time. How about we do this? And so for parents to be able to say, well, because a lot of them just go, okay, all right, I guess, you know better than me. But to give them something to work with that, okay, what are the risks? What are the benefits to doing this? Is there anything else we could do? Right? What
The
is your
longer term costs as well.
Oh God. And what does your intuition say? That's I.
Oh, that's what makes me a bad patient.
Here you go. It doesn't.
That's why my doctor doesn't like me. That right there.
No, because it makes you a very good patient for you.
Oh, I'm a pain in the butt. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had a mom in class one time who went to her doctor and asked all these questions that she learned in class, like things she should know to know she's with the right provider. And within about a week, she got a letter basically telling her she couldn't be a patient at that practice anymore. And she was like all upset in class, and I had a big class this time. That's what I said. I go, you should take that as a gift. I said, you walk away. I'll give you somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
But they should never feel that way. They should never feel that way.
That's a big point. There is a lot of shaming and guilt tripping around being a good patient.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
what does that do for the baby, though? Is that even considered?
Right. As I say to my moms, too, like, it's not just you on this ride. Mm-hmm. This baby is going to experience so many things during this journey. So you considering you, but you have to be considering this baby as well. How are they feeling?
Yeah.
Right? Are they scared? Are they, calm? And so that's part of that kind of intake that I said I do in our class 1 is like, how do you want your baby to feel?
Yeah.
And they say loved and welcomed. And I'm like, yeah. So your baby can't do anything about that. You have to. So that's where you come in and you provide that for your baby, So it really like starts wrapping their heads around how fantastic and unbelievable this whole experience is, to be able to have a baby.
So let's go in a different direction because I'm weird and that's how I do everything.
Okay.
Currently, my 84-year-old stepdad has dementia.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, I was communicating with him in my head because I'm psychic. It's what I do. And I'm having a very real conversation as I'm driving and I'm letting him know it's okay, Dad. Do what you need to do, whatever you want to do. I love you. It's okay. Within a minute, he phones me. He said, you called me. And I just had to laugh. And it's like, well, in a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
He's currently in Canada. I'm currently in the US.
Yeah.
We're sending messages non-telephone across countries. And what I heard was part of your program, you're teaching the mothers to speak and to feel the baby's experience. I can only imagine from the psychic impression part how important that is and how much easier that is than me getting Dad on the phone.
Right. Right. So, and I guess I never really thought about it like that, like asking them to do that, but it's just how I was feeling. Like we have to be able to do that, and because then it makes us more considerate of what is actually happening. I mean, that was the point that I was coming from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as a psychic who plays in this realms, yeah, I think if they could develop the habit of saying, what do you need today? And just being curious,
Yeah.
that opens
And
a huge doorway for intuitive hits to happen.
and I love that because I'll tell you that it's like a midwife friend of mine. So here's the thing, where there's a lot of doctors' offices in Michigan here that have practices. And there might be 8 OBs in that practice or 8 midwives in that practice, which means who's going to be at your birth? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Well, does that make a woman feel uncomfortable? She doesn't know who's going to be at her birth.
Yeah.
Now she doesn't even know. She knows this practice and they have a good reputation, but she doesn't know who's going to be there. And I don't care, even if you're a part of a practice, that doesn't mean you have the same ideals and the exact same way of feeling people or supporting people. Like, it's going to be different, right? Because we're all different. And so this one midwife would say, if your favorite midwife works on Wednesday, talk to your baby. Tell your baby you need to be born on Wednesday. Hey, little baby, it's Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. And if you don't want to be born today, then you got to wait 7 days. And I always remember that. And I say that to my couples too. I'm like, you better find out what the schedule is because you need to be communicating to your baby what day to be born.
I mean, if they can register emotions in the womb and have a physical response to that, then why not be able to?
I guess, right?
And maybe
I'm like,
it's not mom's words so much as what she's feeling about that. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah.
So you've got some good stuff coming up. Remind me again, what is the title of your book?
Oh, I don't have a book.
I thought you said the first 40 days.
Oh, no, I just like the book.
Oh, okay.
I just like the book. It's not my book.
Recommended reading list.
No, it's just a recommended reading. Yeah. It's good postpartum care for mom. It's just a good book.
If someone wants to begin to work with you, perhaps they might come see you at the Michigan Hypnosis Conference because you'll be presenting again this year.
I will. Mm-hmm.
How else can they begin to work with you? If they see this and they say, I want to train with Tiffany Timmins.
Yeah, they can look me up online. They can look, if they're looking for a birth class, I teach in Washington, Michigan, so 31 in Van Dyke area. And you can look me up online at birthing by BY calm, CALM.com. And that'll show all of my available class schedule. And then if they wanted to work with me and they don't live in Michigan, they're not that close to me, we could do Zoom. I do Zoom classes when needed, so they could do that as well. Or if they just want, if they have any kind of trauma that they want to release after a previous birth, I can do those kinds of things too, because I have a really great understanding of birth and the situations that a lot of women can go through or have gone through. And I can help with some of that release as well.
Amazing. And then you've also got a pain management group coming up. Tell me a bit about that.
So we have a workshop. My Blue Water Hypnotist group is hosting a pain management workshop in Sterling Heights. And that is going to be on the 4th of May. And so if you want any information on that, you can go to bluewaterhypnotist.com and there'll be more information there for buying tickets. And if you need any information, you can reach out to the phone number there.
So this was just a taste. We could talk for hours because you are such a wealth of information.
Thank you.
And our weird little brains combined could go some really interesting, fascinating places. I have no doubt.
Agreed.
I'd love to possibly have you back because I feel like we're just scratching the surface. But I'm
Thank
going
you.
to include everything I can in the show notes so that people can find you and they can learn about birthing by calm for themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I do have an Instagram and a Facebook page as well, so they can look me up there as well. Google page. So if they want to read reviews, I have lots of reviews on Google for Birthing by Calm. Lots of stories from parents and moms and dads about their birth experiences. So that's a nice place to go as well.
Oh, wonderful. I'll make sure to get all of that in the show notes.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for being a wonderful guest. This was so fun.
Thank you for having me. You're wonderful as well.
Oh, thank you. All right, Soulful Seekers, I hope you've learned a lot. If you have any questions for Tiffany, please do reach out. If you need, I'll help you with that process. But really get informed because, oh my God, how much less trauma we could make this process.
100%.
Stay healthy, be well, but always stay inspired. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.